In this day and age, most of us have access to more information than we can possibly expect to digest. It comes at us relentlessly and is invariably one-sided, lacking an essential balance of views if it is coming to us through social media. Think algorithms and the like. Of course, just about anything is available to us online, and we have the wherewithal to Google or search and research anything we like in pursuit of a balanced, fair assessment of any given situation or subject. One would certainly think and hope that all would look at various perspectives. This is likely to be far from the truth of the matter, unfortunately. Perhaps equally as concerning when considering this topic is the preponderance of fake news and AI-influenced publications on social media and elsewhere. Many of you are no doubt more skilled than I at spotting deviations from the truth, departures from reality, and outright fabricated stories and blatant propaganda. It is worrying. It's true, I guess, that most of us are influenced by the circles and groups we frequent, online and elsewhere, and in particular by peer group pressure. The need to conform or fit in is a powerful driver. Most people want to be liked and accepted for what they believe in, and so seek the company of like-minded individuals or organisations, groups, associations, and so on. The great divide between the so-called left and the so-called right has widened in recent years, quite probably due to internet access and the millions of podcasts and opinion pieces on YouTube, MSN, and elsewhere, pushing one side or the other. Unbiased, more balanced perspectives are harder to find. People on the left of centre, if we want to put it this way, tend to dominate the airwaves, I would suggest, and schools and universities have for years now openly promoted leftist agendas and rewarded staff and students for not deviating from this path. This idea will be pooh-poohed by academia, of course, and they will argue that they are working towards a fairer world, given the global damage exacted on humanity and the planet by reigning right-wing governments through the 20th century. They're looking for another path, a different way forward, where the pendulum swings in the opposite direction. From a young age, children are influenced by socialist teachers, relatively poorly educated people who themselves have been indoctrinated at teachers' college and training institutes to stand proudly on the left side of the line. These teachers have children's attention for many hours a day, year after year, and are some of society's most influential shapers of children's minds. Parents have an uphill battle to offset or even up the score and ensure their kids have at least a fighting chance of being free thinkers. I read many years ago that someone associated with McDonald's once said that if you get the children young enough, they'll be yours for life. Embed a desire for the product, and you have invested enormously in the future success of your company. Embed a particular philosophy or way of thinking in children early, and you've got followers for a long time, if not for life. Why do you think leftist political parties are so keen to see 16-year-olds with the vote? Because the young are largely left voters, and of course the left parties are all about borrowing and giving, leaving the hefty debt for invariably an incoming conservative or right-sided party. Democrats are into hate. They hate Trump, yet their own former leaders like Clinton and Obama espoused policies that were fundamentally no different to the current Republicans. especially on border controls and anti-illegal immigration. Because of the hold the left has on mainstream media, such matters are never aired or shown. Their agenda is to promote right as wrong and left as right or correct. Being open and honest and allowing the populace to draw fair conclusions is not one of the media's strong points. Then, of course, there are those on the right. The thinking of the right is seen as exploitative, not focused on social justice or uplifting the poor or the downtrodden. Many do see right-wing conservative political parties as friends of the rich and enemies of the lower socio-economic groups. One argument is that most legislation that benefits the underprivileged in our communities has been enacted by socialist or left-leaning governments. This likely extends to environmental protections, anti-mining laws, and punitive regulations against the moneymakers in our midst. Conservatives will argue convincingly that entrepreneurs take great risks with their own capital and sometimes win, but sometimes do also lose in their pursuit of corporate success. This is very, very costly. By investing in new enterprises, they are potentially creating jobs and hence prosperity for large numbers of people. A prosperous community is more able to roll out expensive rehabilitative programs for those in need and build a better society in the end. Interestingly, it was the New Zealand National Party, a conservative party, that settled the first Treaty of Waitangi claim in 1995 for $170 million, a major move by a right-leaning government, and a surprise to many. There are, of course, many arguments for and against both sides of the political spectrum, and I am in no way qualified to intelligently debate these to a level that will satisfy you all. I have found over time, and in my multifarious everyday activities, that it is nigh on impossible to change someone's point of view by simply talking to them. We are so entrenched and invested in our perspectives and often seek to vociferously defend our respective stances. We can be blinded by our own ignorance and biases, whatever side of the political or philosophical spectrum we sit. Wouldn't it be refreshing to be able to sit down and calmly talk about our differences without descending into personal insults, shouting matches, screaming in-your-face type threats? Should we all be more open to looking at the pros and cons of both sides of an argument before hammering the table with our fists? Should we be able to accept changes to our views without feeling a sense of failure or of letting our fellow believers down? Would you be able to admit that you were wrong or that you can see another's perspective without being embarrassed or humiliated? Have we all let ourselves down by falling into the trap of condemning entire ethnicities for something perpetrated by a few? Sometimes a simple exercise of writing down the pros and cons, or good and bad of any situation, on a piece of paper might help. That's my view anyway. What's good about Islam, for instance? What's not so good about Islam? What do you admire about the Jews? What do you despise or even hate about the Jews? Have a column on the left and a column on the right, and have a look at both. There's always good and there's always bad. It's never an all or nothing situation. Worth pondering, friends. Worth pondering.